The film begins with a story about the so-called First Judgment Day. Then from the depths of the earth, from ordinary minds, crowds of beasts spilled out. They killed huge number of individuals, obliterated urban communities. A genuine conflict started with these beasts, and in the end they were eliminated on the previous Wells defensive establishments were constructed doors which are intended to safeguard individuals from rehashed interruptions. 15 years have passed. The world had the option to recuperate a piece from the experience. One of the people who were sufficiently fortunate to endure is Laura. She works at the school. She has a diligent, however fruitless, male companion, Milton, whom she occasionally denies dates. Undoubtedly the justification for this is hatred towards her ex Dave. He was not with Laura during the day of judgment, and she pregnant, needed to get by on her own. Dave and Laura have a child, 15-year-old Tyler. He vanishes the entire day at the skate park with his companions and his sweetheart Maddie. In his extra time he plays PC game and is a negotiating concession in the troublesome connection between his dad and mom, who separated following his introduction to the world. In the meantime, what is going on is warming up. An obscuration is drawing closer, and this is one of the messengers of a potential beast intrusion. Moreover, seismic action has expanded. Defensive vault faculty are directing crisis checks, and there is exceptionally upsetting information in the news. Mass termination of fish started wherever. Exactly the same thing happened the day preceding the principal Day of Atonement movement. Is one more disturbing sign. Everything is rehashing the same thing as it was quite a while back. Tyler is spending the end of the week at his father's. The point at which the telephone rings, Dave gets a call from his close buddy Ted. He is certain that the new Day of Atonement will be tomorrow. He demands that Dave earnestly take the family and come to a sanctuary before the shroud. In the meantime, the main beast shows up under the defensive arch, discreetly creeping up the steps. As of now, Laura calls Dave. She has likewise seen the news and requests that Dave bring Tyler home. Milton has saved a haven, and she's certain it's the main thing that can save them. Dave reassures her that he is the father and Tyler is safe with him. Tyler receives a text, reads it, and quietly leaves the house while his father is talking. Laura is in a panic. Dave's house is not secure and he must bring Tyler to her immediately. Dave agrees. He goes to Tyler's room, but he's not there. Milton rushes Laura. The shelter is filling up. They need to hurry. She explains that she can't find Tyler. Milton uses his phone number to find him at the skate park. Tyler is really there with Maddie. She is nervous. Her parents left. She was left alone. She is very scared and asks Tyler not to leave her. Tyler promises that he will never do what his father did. He will not leave Maddie alone. Suddenly a bird cry is heard. Huge flocks of birds fly in one direction. People in the park run in panic. Everyone leaves town. Dave goes to the park to look for Tyler. He gets into a giant traffic jam and runs in search of his son, leaving the car behind. At this time, under the dome, the worker checks the instruments. There is a rustle, some strange sounds. A monster appears. It rushes and tears the worker apart. The soldiers standing nearby shoot at it, but to no avail. Ordinary bullets do not harm it. Tyler and Maddie look on in horror at the raining panic. Dave comes running as Tyler explains to his father that Maddie had nowhere to go, and he couldn't leave her. Laura drives up with Milton and takes everyone to the shelter where the seats are booked. There is just over an hour left before the eclipse. There is complete chaos in the city. People are trying to escape. Traffic jams are everywhere. Finally, they get to the shelter, but it is cordoned off by the military and only women and children are let in. Dave asks Tyler to take care of his mother and sends them to the shelter. He and Milton remain in the crowd. Tyler goes to the shelter but then runs to his father. Laura and Maddie rush after him. Tyler screams, "He is my father, I will not leave him." At this time, information appears on the scoreboard that the sanctuary is totally filled. There are no more places burning. Through no time they race to the vehicle. Dave offers to go to Ted's safe house in the desert, and Milton proposes stowing away at the school, which is close by, and there is a storm cellar. Another gridlock. Many vehicles obstructed the street. They escape the vehicle. A quake starts and the sun-based circle is covered with a shadow. The shroud has started under the defensive vault. The beasts advance out there. Groups slithering, flying. They catch the city. Dave recommends leaving the city. It's considerably more perilous here. He needs to drive himself, yet Milton is shocked. This is his vehicle, and he knows how to save everybody. They have a battle with Dave. However, at that point Milton is snatched by a flying beast, taking off with him high up. Laura shouts heartrendingly. Dave stuffs her into the vehicle and they attempt to escape this damnation. They drive along the trench. Dave consoles the youngsters. "All is great, we will get out." The vehicle is running out of fuel. Dave needs to find a substitution for it. There are a few vehicles ahead. Dave gets into one of the vehicles. An old man concealed in the secondary lounge. He looks at a colossal, ridiculous beast that seems to be the skeleton of a bull. He is exceptionally close. The bull passes by the vehicle without seeing them and starts to bite on the lying body. Dave discreetly pulls the vehicle back to Laura and the children. Now the two vehicles are standing one next to the other, yet they need to some way or another move past to another one. In the meantime, the bull saw them. Then the man escapes the vehicle, sprinkles the bull with salt from the container that he was grasping. The bull halted. The children and Laura figured out how to run into Dave's vehicle. Then the bull surges at the man and destroys him, yet Dave figures out how to drive away from that point. Swarms of beasts run to the city from all sides. Dave is driving down an unwanted street in the mountains. They drive up to Ted's hideaway. It is truly strong and seems to be a substantial dugout. There are cameras on the rooftop, yet nobody responds. When they knock, the doors are closed. Ted is sitting behind the monitor. A gun is put to his neck. Someone is standing behind. Monsters run in a herd along the mountain. They rush straight to the shelter. Dave grabs a tire iron in an attempt to protect the family, but at the last moment the doors of the bunker open and they run into it. Dave happily hugs Ted. Besides him, his wife Stella is in the bunker, and a military man is sitting in the corner. Ted introduces him as his acquaintance, Corporal Garrett Jensen. The monitors show how the monsters are trying to smash the door. Everyone is tense and Garrett keeps to himself. Maddie asks how the monsters feel them. Can they see through the walls? Garrett smirks. They react to light heat, but I think they see our soul. They are the offspring of the devil, which means God too. They torment the flesh, but feed on the soul. Are you religious? Corporal Laura asks. Today, yes, he replies. He says that on the first Judgment Day he worked at a refinery. When the monsters poured in there, he managed to dive into a pond of salty mud where they were afraid to approach. He sat in the dirt and listened as the monsters destroyed 150 of his colleagues and friends. Garrett is very engrossed in his story and doesn't notice Ted signaling Dave to touch the knife. Dave understands and quietly takes the knife. That is why it is called Judgment Day. Continues Garrett. The devil rules on this day. At this time, something that looks like a centipede crawls from the street into a small hole in the mesh covering the window. Garrett says he'll be on duty first. Ted invites them to stay as well and looks meaningfully at Dave. But then Garrett pulls the gun out of its holster, forcing Dave to put down the knife. Garrett explains that he tried to hide and found this hideout. Kind Stella let him in. Although Ted was against it, he survived the first time and will survive now no matter what the cost. Tyler throws himself at Garrett. He tries to take the gun from him, but Garrett throws him away. Dave solaces the corporal. Right now a centipede-like beast surges out of the wall at Stella. Ted scams at his significant other's neck and adds salt on it. Dave snatches a firearm from Garrett and fires it. They tie up. Garrett attempts to stop Stella's blood. Then Dave sees help come for the beasts, an immense bull. He comprehends that they are ill-fated. They need to escape the dugout. The bull is attempting to kick down the entryways. Ted would rather not go out. He says his significant other will not get by outside. However, Stella requests the he go with everybody. There is an underground section under the fortification. It prompts the mountains. Garrett convinces him to take him with him. He has a vehicle with a full tank and he can take everybody to the door. There are shelters and the animals emerged from there. They won't return. They don't trust him, yet he demands he was simply attempting to make do, and presently it is valuable for him to assist them. They with choosing to go get us there and will disregard all that. Dave guarantees Garrett they arm themselves. Ted has an entire munition stockpile of weapons. The bull stalls the entryways increasingly more unyieldingly, yet they figured out how to run out into the passage. They go to the vehicle. Stella turns out to be sick. Dave and Laura start to contend. She criticizes him that they could be in the haven now. Tyler then recognizes a beast out and about. It's dead. Maddie approaches it. Here lengthy limbs of the beast distend from an opening in the ground and curve around her legs, attempting to drag her away. Maddie shouts fiercely. Tyler and Dave salvage her. Garrett offers his assistance and Dave cuts the ropes on his hands. They go to the highest point of the mountain. They see a crushed and torching city. They go to the vehicle, yet it won't begin. Beasts show up on top of the mountain and rush straight towards them. Garrett attempts to turn over the motor while Stella takes a gander at the horde of beasts. Then, at that point, assuming the weapon in her significant other's hands, she coaxes her weapon, escapes the vehicle. Ted implores her to give up the firearm, yet Stella dismisses and goes to the monsters. She understands that she is doomed. Ted calls her crying, but Dave stuffs him into the car. At the last moment they manage to leave. Crowds of monsters rush after them. On the way they pick up a radio signal. They report that almost all the shelters could not withstand the onslaught and were ruined. Laura puts her hand on Dave's shoulder. As he strokes her, they come to the gate. It's empty, but the doors are open. Garrett says the hideout is in the basement. They're heading there, but the power needs to be restored. Garrett and Dave decide to do it. The others go to look for the first aid post. Ted has a wound in his back. Dave restores electricity. Garrett says that the gate was prepared for a Second invasion, tons of salt were pumped into them, but the well was too deep. They go to the others and then they hear the roar of monsters and see a blooded corpse there. Are 2 hours left until the end of the eclipse. Garrett offers to hide in a chemical warehouse there. The doors are impenetrable. Suddenly a monster attacks Garrett along with Dave. They figured out how to manage it, yet the other beasts hurry to the clamor. Garrett rapidly goes through an entryway and closes it behind him. He gives himself some sort of infusion. His veins are enlarged and dark. Dave gets back to his family and requests that Tyler War his mom protected while he's off. He needs to even the odds and channel the salt water through the tank lines to keep the beasts out. Laura kisses Dave and advises him to be cautious. Dave clears his path through the ventilation, perceives how the beast eats up the prey. Dave needs to switch off the taps close to that biting beast. He figures out how to open the spigot. Water is gathered in compartments. Dave moves back, yet the beast detected it and surged after him. Dave retaliates, sprinkles it with salt, and the beast disintegrates to tidy. In the meantime, the others had proactively been pursued down and encircled by beasts. Tyler shoots. In those days, Dave's voice is heard from the amplifier. He requests to turn on the alarm. The beasts have encircled them. They are drawing nearer. Ted tells Tyler, safeguard the family child, and goes at the beasts with a hatchet. A few beasts jump on him on the double. Tyler shoots back. Horrendous. Ted attempts to retaliate. Tyler runs out of ammunition. He turns on the alarm. Planes of salt water hit from all sides. They fall on the beasts and they disintegrate into ridiculous residue. Screeching in torment, they are saved, yet Ted is dead. The overshadowing closes. All beasts return through the entryway back. Kids with Laura head out to some area. Garrett is remaining there with a weapon. He shoots Tyler. It's not our reality any longer. He will not endure. At any rate, God has a 3-day weekend, he says, and points again. Laura attempts to cover her child with her body. Dave runs in and hits Garrett in the head with a discharge dowser. Dave gives himself wholeheartedly to Tyler and Laura. Here a tremendous beast shows up from underneath. It rushes at Garrett, who was nearer to it, and gradually gulps down him. They run into the clinical unit, make a pungent combination in a chamber. The beast is drawing nearer. It kicks down the entryways, yet Dave figures out how to toss a canister of blend at him. It detonates, the beast thundering fiercely and disintegrating to debris. Laura embraces Dave. They don't completely accept that they've been saved. Embracing, the two couples go external. The world is desolated, yet the beasts are gone. Perhaps this is another break. Yet